Okay, welcome back to Trade with Ellie, all things trade, travel, and investing related. So, today I'm going to share with you a little bit on some updates on traveling to um, Europe, right, from the US. So, specifically, right now, I will be going over leaving from the US to the UK because the rules are very different when traveling to the UK and then traveling to EU, right? Because remember, UK decided not to be a part of the EU, so the rules are different. However, when it does come to the EU, each country does have their own, rules in terms of what they're accepting or allowing from visitors, coming in. So it's like tourism is kind of slowly back climbing up in a lot of these countries. You have to really think about it too. A lot of these countries do rely on tourism, especially major cities. So the fact that the world's kind of been shut down for almost 2 years at this point. My numbers could be off because time is really, it feels like a huge concept, right? Time just feels fake at this point because I really don't know my days, my times, my years at this point. Everything's the same. It's just a new day or it's a new moment. But anyways, so the world's kind of stopped, but it's picking back up. People need to make money, kind of get going, and find ways to cope. And so with that being said, and the rules changing, uh, we're just trying to navigate just the way governments are trying to navigate at this point. What is EU? Some people don't know. Oh, oh, EU just stands for Europe. Sorry, my sister's here, so she's like, clarify, please. So we're rewinding. So EU is the European Union, right? The United Kingdom, which is England and the countries that encompass the United Kingdom, which is like Wales, Scotland, right? They collectively decided not to be a part of the European Union. So they're, huh? Brexit. Right, basically Brexit. So they decided to not be a part of the European Union. So their rules and regulations are going to be completely different. And the UK is not playing. Their rules are strict, okay? They don't care if you want to come and vacation and spend money. They said, boo, we good. We're good over here. We don't need your money. So when it comes to traveling out the US, going to the UK, right? Um, First and foremost, if you're fully vaccinated, it's just going to be so much easier, the whole process. However you want to look at it, right? Whether you choose to be or not, these are the rules. This is what we have to follow. If we don't like it, we either have to figure out a way to make it work or just sit still until things potentially change, right? Or until you're at the ends of where you have to potentially get vaccinated. So understand there is completely a difference. Just because you're not doesn't mean you can't travel, but it is going to cost you more. It's going to cost you more because you're going to have to quarantine more. You're going to have to do a lot of testing and stuff like that, especially if you want to do things. If you're kind of staying put and not doing too much, you won't have to test as much potentially, but you still will have to test most likely more than one time. So leaving from the US, going to the UK, right? If you're fully vaccinated, that's great. And what they're going to require is for you to fill out a UK locator. So it's basically information regarding your trip, and so that they know pretty much your whereabouts. But you're not exactly updating this along the way. This is really what you need to fill out to be able to board the plane. They will check before you get to the gate. And if you're in transition, they will check again, okay? So transitioning to UK or whatever the case is. So make sure you have that filled out. It'll ask for, the information that's on your passport, the flight that you're taking to essentially get there or transfer through. It will ask you about the hotel that you're staying at, different things like that. And it will give you also the option to, schedule your COVID test, which UK requires you to schedule your test for there before arriving. So you will have to, like many other places, right, before you get on that plane, you're going to have to show that negative test result, whether you're vaccinated or not. Once you're there, by day 2, vaccinated or not, you are going to have to test again, right? So on your second day there or before your second day, you're going to have to show a negative test. Now, if you're fully vaccinated, it'll stop right there, right? If you're not, you're going to have to quarantine for 10 days and you're going to have to retest on day 8 in the UK, okay? And so if you're there for less than 10 days, they do not care. You will be quarantining the whole time. And if you're there for, let's say, 9 days, day 8, you still need to test. So the fact that they had that locator and all that information, I'm pretty sure there's systems for you to check. I, didn't exit the UK, so I didn't have to go through that process. So for those of you who are traveling to other places in Europe, but you're not exactly staying in the UK, like you're just transitioning through, you're doing a transfer, a connecting flight, basically. What happens is you're still gonna fill out the locator, but you don't have to worry about the quarantining there. You will just have to, you don't have to pay for the COVID test attached to the UK. You would just kind of omit that. And when you get to the airport, you'll be able to connect easily. And, they'll just ask you, where you're coming from, stuff like that. And you'll just let them know, I flew in from the US. I'm transitioning here. And, they'll guide you if you're lost or whatever the case is, but you won't have to worry about that. So once you, get to Europe, they will beforehand, right, at some point, whether you have that direct flight or that connecting flight, they will look at that EU locator, right? That's key. They might have you fill out a form just to kind of say that you don't have COVID, you haven't come in contact with anyone. The locator will ask those same questions as well. However, when you're coming into the EU, some countries will require you to be fully vaccinated. They will have quarantine days, so on and so forth. And so knowing what that country is having the US as a status, right? And if you're watching this and you're not from the US, you're not leaving from the US, that's really key. It's the fact that you're flying out from the US. So a lot of the times they're asking you, what country are you originating from, like your duration of the flight, where were you the last 10, 14 days? That's what's super, super important, because if you're in a red country, right, that means that their COVID rate is super high and, things may be crazy. So they're going to see you as a threat, right? But if you're coming from a place that's like green or not on the high list of warning, like you shouldn't even kind of be there, then it's okay. So understand when you're also traveling in through Europe and you're going to other countries, they're also looking for that. So US, actually was on the red list. And fortunately for me, right before the trip, it reduced from the red list. So it made it super easy. Crazy though, I did switch my itinerary because we were on the red list, and it was going to make it super hard for me to go to some of the other places that I did want to go to. Right, it did become a factor, a defining factor, because whether you're vaccinated or not, right, they still have rules on what days you have to test, how many times, or at least if you have to quarantine on arrival or whatever the case is. So when it came to Italy, when you come in, right, you're either showing that you're fully vaccinated or that you have a negative COVID test, right? So remember, when it comes to being fully vaccinated, UK and Europe, or whatever countries, they're still looking to see that you have vaccination from like a credible what's it called, whatever that they verify as like a credible vaccine, right? So the Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, Pfizer, whatever the case is. So if you got it from a different country and it's not something that's on the list that they stamped and said it's okay because it's from the US, or stamped and said it's okay because it's from UK or whatever country, then you're gonna have an issue and you're gonna be ending up in that pile of unvaccinated. So individuals who have 2 different tests, like I know people who got the shot the first time, right, got the first shot, and by the time they got the second one, maybe it ran out, maybe had to do another shot from something else. Kind of find out for yourself what that says. If you have the 2 shots from the same pharmaceutical company, right, then you should be okay, because they'll show you're fully vaccinated for that. If you have 1 and 1, 2 different shots and that's it, make sure to check out the rules, because some places are not seeing that as you being fully vaccinated, even though there's hearsay about it potentially being stronger. Make sure that you're really looking at the rules, and it's continuously changing. So by the time this video is up, all of these rules, all of these mandates, all of these quarantine information, testing information can be completely different. So don't take this as face value. Make sure to go and do the research as well. I will tag some links in the description to help you navigate how to find certain things or for the information that I am sharing in this video. So with that being said, right, when you come to Italy, right, they do say that you do have to quarantine for 5 days if you're unvaccinated. And if you are vaccinated, you do not have to quarantine. Make sure you have that negative test. Now, however, rules change considering US has dropped off the list. So what they're basically saying, or what I've seen happen, is that if you are not vaccinated, you don't have to quarantine for the 5 days as long as you show that negative test. However, there are certain places or things that are saying, they want a negative test within 48 hours or fully vaccination proof, which is also known as your green card, right? That verification saying that you are fully vaccinated and allowed to just kind of do what you want when you want, wherever you want. So that is something to consider, because if you want to just kind of move however you want to move, it might be a little bit hard if you're going somewhere and they're like, your negative test is past 48 hours. That's where that money spending is going to come in, because for the US, you're going to be spending about 22 euros on a rapid test and about 55, I believe, on that 2 to 3 day testing, right? On the PCR molecular testing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Information will still be in the description, or definitely Google and check with the CDC and with the country's embassy websites for updated information. But that is really pretty much it, right? Making sure that you have that negative test before flying, making sure you have that locator before you get to the airport, because you don't want to be there at the airport doing that. If the airport is crowded, it will suck, because you won't really be able to move until you show that proof. So you don't want to jeopardize missing your flight or having that anxiety attack because you didn't fill out that locator in advance. And then understanding or checking up beforehand, like places that you can get retesting and stuff like that, just so that you can do it, whether it's for your mental, just to feel good and safe, whether you need to or not, or because you need to, and you can schedule that ahead. A lot of the places are saying you have to call or email or schedule. They might take a little bit time to get back to you. Other great thing is you can get tested at the airport. So for those individuals who are flying to Italy, what I did recently read is that if you did not show a negative test, which is kind of weird because they're saying that you can't fly without a negative test, but it did say that if you did not show a negative test, you had to quarantine for the 5 days and then get tested at the end of that 5-day quarantine. So it's kind of up and down. So I'm assuming that there's countries that are letting you fly without showing a negative test. That doesn't fully make sense to me, because they kind of contradict each other. However, that is something I recently read. It was on a credible site. But once again, the rules are completely changing. A lot more people are being vaccinated. So the world is feeling very safe to open back up, as you can see, and as I've seen just being out here. So if you have any questions, comments, and concerns, feel free to write them in the description. I will do my best to help and answer those questions for you. Do remember, every country has their own protocol. Okay, some people are not accepting people that are not fully vaccinated, or you will be quarantining for days on end, whether it's 10, 5, 13, continuous testing, whatever the case is. Know what you're getting into. If you're fully vaccinated, you'll have a little bit more leeway, but at the same time, make sure you understand what the rules are, because depending on the country you're coming from, all those rules could change just because you were in X, Y, and Z, and they're gonna say it's crazy there. Now you have to quarantine, or now you have to do, so and so. So I hope that helped. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share this video with someone that this may help, and I hope to see you in my next video.